everyone, Ryan from Ebike Escape, and today we're checking out the RadWagon 4 from Rad Power Bikes. And I'm most excited about this because if I could only buy one electric bike, it would have to be the RadWagon. We have a 2018 RadWagon that we have almost 4,000 miles on, and so I'm excited to dig into some of the changes with the RadWagon 4. As always, if you're looking to purchase any of the Rad Power Bikes, electric bikes, please consider using the link in the description, as that helps me continue to make videos like this one. So let's get into the RadWagon 4 from Rad Power Bikes.
Rad has done it again in their third complete revamp of the Rad Power Bikes RadWagon. It is the do-everything bike for hauling groceries, kids, and anything else you can dream up. It's the minivan of e-bikes, if you will, but definitely a cool minivan. One that adults and kids will look at with envy as you leave the car at home in favor for some truly rad riding. And for the price, I don't think you'll find anything comparable. Now priced at $16.99, it tops out Rad Power Bikes lineup next to the Rad Runner Plus. Still a good deal at that price, and of course you have the leading brand of e-bikes in North America that has your back if anything should go wrong.
Alright, so what is kind of fun is I have our 2018 RadWagon here, so we can look at both of these bikes side by side. I realize that the old frame style is no longer available, but still fun to see some of the changes, and you can get a little bit better idea of some of the new features of the RadWagon 4. And first of all, I will say that the Rad Power Bikes Orange is definitely slightly different on the RadWagon 4. I don't know if you can tell from the picture, but I find that the 2018 RadWagon is a little bit more of a brighter orange. One of the biggest changes on the RadWagon 4, which has been talked about quite a bit, are these more custom size wheels. So these are 22 by 3-inch tires on here. People have been complaining that you won't be able to purchase tires and tubes and those sort of things. Rad has kind of come back and said that they intend to keep these items in stock, so it remains to be seen. However, I really like the change with these fatter tires. Gives you a little bit more stability, and of course that changes the entire frame geometry on this bike. You can see compared to the 2018 RadWagon, this just sits a little bit lower. The step through is definitely lower, so that kind of impacted the whole rest of the bike with these more fat tires. And I've been riding on them and it's pretty fun. And so with this new frame geometry, Rad has also changed the stem here, and this is kind of an interesting stem. A lot of adjustable stems will have an adjustment screw, as you can see here on the 2018 RadWagon. And so Rad now has this new adjustable stem, and you basically hit this little release button and you can lift up, and that allows your full adjustment. So if you have multiple riders and you find yourself changing this very often, that's kind of nice. You don't need a tool. You definitely do need to be careful when you're closing it. I find that I really want to keep my fingers away when I'm clamping it down because it is a little bit more difficult. Beyond that, many similarities with the shifting and the brakes and those sort of things. It's really the geometry, the fat tires, and the motor. But first I want to talk about this new telescoping seat post that Rad Power Bikes put on the RadWagon 4. It allows for complete adjustability for tall riders, which is needed because, as you can see, the frame just comes down quite a bit more. It does limit you a little bit. For instance, if you want a suspension seat post, I talked about that in my accessories video, but full adjustability up and down. I'm 6 feet tall and no problem adjusting it. The other thing that I want to talk about as far as changes go, I really like that Rad included bottle cage bosses here. You could put a bottle cage here, and they still kept the bottle cage mounts underneath here. So you don't necessarily need these front plates anymore if you don't want them. Of course, that gives you more ability to put like a lock here, and maybe you want a couple water bottle cages, maybe you're bringing your kids along or something. Rad also still includes this deflapilator, which keeps the wheel centered. And moving on to the back of the bike, you can see that the controller is about in the same spot as the 2018 RadWagon. One change that they did make is now the kickstand attaches with this one bolt here. So a little bit easier to install. And Rad has redone pretty much all of their accessories that they're offering on the RadWagon 4. You can get a deck plate here, which we don't have installed because they're currently out of stock. You can get seats and you can get bars to mount here to hang on to. Check out my accessories video if you want to learn more about these custom seats. The RadWagon 4 has Shimano Acera shifting, and you just get the rear derailleur, which is common among e-bikes. The RadWagon 4 also has this nice neoprene protector for the frame to avoid any frame damage. And I did notice a couple more stickers. They have Rad Power Bike patent pending sticker. You can see they have the Class 2 electric bike sticker, and they did have a warning actually up top that talked about wearing a helmet. But one of the biggest changes is this motor, and of course this is the same motor that is now offered on all the Rad Power Bikes models except for the Rad City now. So it used to be that the old RadWagon and Rad City were the only ones with this Shangy motor, and so with the fat tires they were able to utilize the Bifang motor that all the other electric bikes in their lineup now use. And this offers quite a bit more torque, which I think is a big plus. The other thing that I really like is you can see behind the motor right here, that is the pad adjustment for the mechanical disc brakes. And what's really cool is Rad Power Bikes now includes this inner brake pad adjustment tool. This is exactly what you need to be able to get in and adjust that inner pad. So really cool that they're starting to think about some of these little bit more frustrations that folks have been having. You also have a bash guard here, and there is this nice chain guide, so you don't have to worry about your pants getting dirty from the chain. Another thing worth sharing is some of the details that Rad has thought about. You can see here that this cable comes into the rear fender, and it actually goes along the fender and comes out here, and that's where the rear brake light attaches. So looks nice and clean. You don't have any zip ties or anything running along the frame. So I really like that Rad has put some thought there. And of course with the RadWagon 4 comes with front and rear fenders, and the rear light does light up when you hit the brakes.
When I say if I could only have one e-bike, it would be the RadWagon, I mean it. It was what originally kicked off my journey into electric bikes. I can't imagine a time where we won't own a cargo electric bike. There's a lot to like about the familiar RadWagon 4. It comes in 3 colors, black, white, and my favorite, the Rad Power Bikes Orange. The RadWagon standover height is 2.4 inches lower than the previous generation, and while you'll definitely notice some stability benefits with the lower rear rack, it's not quite as significant as I thought it would be. However, the 3-inch fat tires certainly provide you additional stability. Say what you will about the custom 22-inch by 3-inch tires, I believe that Rad will make good on their promise on keeping tires and tubes in stock once things settle down in the supply chain for bikes generally. Still, I can see the argument, but with Rad on track to sell nearly $300 million worth of e-bikes this year, they certainly have something to lose if they aren't able to keep RadWagon owners happy. Plus, I'm hopeful that third parties will come in to fill any gaps, perhaps at cheaper prices. If you live in an area where flat tires are common, you'll certainly want to invest in some slime or perhaps some patch kits, at least until these items are in stock. For the record, I have yet to change a bike tube or replace tires on our RadWagon in the last 4,000 miles, though I know others aren't so lucky. I appreciate having the higher torque motor, which is on many of the other Rad models, and for those DIY tinkers, you can certainly look into putting something more powerful in there if you desire. I have no doubt that there will be some people on the forum talking about this. The 14 amp hour battery, in my experience, gives plenty of range, and we have certainly pushed the 350 pound payload capacity on our old RadWagon, though I can't officially recommend you do the same. The 25 to 45 miles estimated range from Rad Power Bikes is certainly in line with what we've experienced. I want to be clear, this isn't nearly as zippy as other standard frame styles on the market today. It is so important to consider the weight of any e-bike, and the RadWagon 4 is no lightweight, coming in at a whopping 76.7 pounds. But for any loss in performance, the RadWagon makes up for it in versatility. With rad accessories or your own DIY skills, you can really configure the RadWagon 4 just how you want it. If you have a child, the Thule Maxi is truly an invaluable accessory. The running boards or the pegs are absolutely necessary if you're carrying rear passengers. On previous generations of the RadWagon, it did come with running boards, and unfortunately Rad opted to make it a standalone accessory on the RadWagon 4. Rad has designed the RadWagon 4 to accommodate a large range of riders. The more swept-back handlebars and adjustable stem make for a super comfortable and relaxed riding style. Like I said, it truly is the minivan of e-bikes. The 200 lumen headlight is adequate, though if you're going to be riding at night often, you may also want to consider a rechargeable headlight to provide more visibility. By the way, the front light now automatically turns on when you turn the bike on, which is nice if you're looking for some daylight visibility without having to remember to turn it on. I've seen some brighter rear lights, and perhaps we'll see some improvements there in a future iteration. If you're looking for a cargo e-bike and you don't want to break the bank, the RadWagon is the only cargo e-bike I'd recommend, partly due to the care that Rad has taken in creating an awesome e-bike, and partly due to their unrivaled customer support. I apologize I don't have an outro for you. It's starting to get cold in Wisconsin, and I have some more filming to get in before the snow starts. Needless to say, I appreciate all the support. Relevant links are in the description, and a special thanks to my brother for making this review possible. I now have RadWagon Envy. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.